Okay, so once we have created our forms.py, we are ready to use these fields now, and we have to start creating the routes in my app which the server is going to handle. So routes are like, the different actions which are going to happen in your app when a user submits a button or signs up, or how the server is going to handle it, or what the processing happening in the back end is what the routes are. Okay, so I am actually going to have a route. I mean, I will have to have like login route, register route, sign up, and all of that. So first of all, let us deal with registration or signing up, and then we'll deal with login, right? So I'm creating a route, and you can call it anything. You don't have to copy the same variable names if you don't want to. I will call it register, which is basically, what happens when registration happens or somebody who signs up. So just the same way, definition register, this has to be the same name as the root name. Okay, so what happens, a function runs, and the form that I will be using for registration is registration form. Okay, why this is not coming up here is probably because I think I have not really imported it. Yeah, so over here I also have to import these forms from forms.py. Okay, so from forms, okay, import, I want to import registration form, and I want to import login form. These are the classes which we had created in forms.py with the relevant fields. Okay, so these are the same names I'm going to use. So form is going to be registration form, and what it will return, it will take us to a template, an HTML template, which will basically display this form. Okay, so flask dot render underscore template is a function which takes you to a particular template. I will be calling it signup.html. I have not created this HTML file yet for the things to be viewed or displayed, but eventually I'll be creating that. Okay, so signup.html, I can maybe give it a title, or if you want to skip it, you can even do without the title, it's fine. Okay, and I need to pass it the form which this route needs to display. Okay, so when I say form equal to form, which means please take us to the register route and display the registration form. So you are basically just passing on that form to be displayed on that route. That's what you're saying. Okay, now this is just the display part, like what form is displayed. But when a user actually signs up and he adds his email ID and password and everything, then how the server is going to respond is what we will define that now. Okay, so for that I want to keep it separate. I will keep it separate, so I will call it maybe sign up. Okay, so when the user signs up, it will be a post method, which means the data is coming or posted onto the server. Okay, the email ID, password, confirm password, whatever is being submitted, it is going to be posted on the server, so that server can deal with it. That's why the method is post here. It could be get or post. So whenever you need data from the server, you say get, and whenever you want to post data to the server for processing, you say post. Okay, and here we are going to take email ID and password, and I will save it to the database, so it's post over here, right? In this route I am going to say def sign up. Okay, of course the form is going to be the same one, which is registration form here. Okay, and I can say like this. I can say that if the flask dot request dot method equals to post, which means any information has been posted to the server. Okay, and also I need to check one more thing, that the form has been validated or not. Has the user actually like entered an email ID which is valid, or has the user really entered the password according to the validations which we have set over here or not. So we have to make sure that the form is validated before we post the data to the database. So I'm also going to say if the form dot validate on submit, has the form been validated, is it all good, all the data good to go? If yes, then what I'm going to say, I'm going to get the email. So whatever is in the form in the email field, please get it for me to the server. So email is form.email.data. Okay, password is gonna be, of course, whatever is in the password field, get that data as well to the server. Okay, then once you've got these two, make a connection to your database. Okay, SQLite3 dot connect, and I don't know what I called it earlier. I think I called it sticky.db. Okay, that's the name of my database. So I'm going to make a connection to my sticky.db, right? I need a cursor, of course, to navigate and to fetch any results. Okay, connection.cursor, it's the standard thing. Okay, now I want to basically what I want to do, I want to get the email ID from the, like, I first want to check when the person submits an email ID and password, I want to check whether that email already exists or not. Okay, if that email already exists in my user table, then I'm not going to sign up with that. I'm going to tell the user that please do not use the same email ID. This email ID already exists in our database. You can't have multiple accounts from the email. Okay, so for that I have to first check whether this exists in my database or not, right? So I am going to just declare a variable which will hold the results of this query. So I'm going to execute a query, and I'm going to say select email from users table. Okay, where email, it's the same thing that you have done in the class, the same way. Okay, and you pass this tuple. Tuple is like a list basically. You pass a tuple because it has email and password, both the fields. So you're passing a tuple, but you're just saying that you want the email and not the other field. Okay, so this is the result. Okay, the fetched result from the database is going to be what? It's going to be this result, the variable dot fetch one, because it should be just one record in the database. Okay, so this, if the fetched result is none, which means this email ID that the user is entering does not exist in our database. Okay, if it does not exist, then of course we want them to sign up with that email ID. So I'm going to say cursor.execute, insert into users. Okay, what do I want to insert into users? Email and password, these two values which I got from the form. And values. Okay, what values? Just the same way that you use two question marks, and then pass the values as a list or a tuple. Okay, so I want to pass the email and the password, whatever the user entered in the form. I'm going to insert that into the database. Okay, and of course whenever you make changes to the database, do not ever forget to commit your connection, otherwise the changes are not saved. We had seen that in the class. Okay, and over here I want to pass on a message to the user. Okay, I can say that the message that will be displayed is sign up successful. So if that email ID did not already exist, okay, then I insert it and I say sign up successful. Okay, but what if the user is trying to create another account with the same email ID which already exists? Okay, so if the fetch result is not none, then in that case I will not insert the details. I will just tell them a message. I will say something like this email already exists, or try again with another email ID or something like that. Okay, so once this is done, okay, I want to then now these messages are going to be on the server side, but how do you display it on the main, the file, right? You have to then return or redirect from this route to the actual HTML page where these messages will be displayed. Okay, so that the user knows whether the sign up was successful or not, right? So over there I am going to say return. So this function will take you to somewhere. So where will it take you? It should take you to the render template, the same function that we had used earlier, I think. Yeah, here, render template. And it is going to just take you nowhere, just sign up page only. Okay, so it just takes you to signup.html. I will create this in a second. Signup.html. Okay, the message sign up also you have to display that. So that will be message sign up equal to message sign up, which means whatever is the message out of these two, that will be passed to the form. Okay, and I also have to pass the form because of course the Flask needs to know which form we are using. We are using the registration form. Okay, so that's it. Okay, and I also will actually set a path over here. Okay, if the form was validated on submit and all of this happened, I will also just maybe I don't think I need that, but maybe I do. I'll just still just be sure that the code doesn't crash. So I will actually flask.render underscore template, and here in this case sign up.html. Okay, maybe I think I'll try if I can get rid of it, and maybe I don't need this route. Okay, so in case I want to like do the whole thing and just go to the signup.html without passing on any message, then I can just use that, or maybe I don't need it. I'm not sure. I'll try to get rid of this line. I think once when I tried, my code crashed, and when I added this line outside this, that made it work, but I will check this. I'm not sure. Okay, so I think this is all good to go, right? But if I want to run this and check whether this thing is working well or not, of course I need what? I need signup.html, because this is where everything is gonna show up. Okay, so over here I'm going to create signup.html. This is the HTML file which will actually display your entire form. Okay, there is a whole lot of work still left to be done in app.py, because we have not created login routes and other routes, but for now we will just go to the signup.html. If you're using Visual Studio Code, you just put exclamation mark and it generates the boilerplate code for you already. Okay, I will not be focusing more on CSS, so you can add your styling over here, the background color and the font size and what font you want to use or anything. I will just focus on to make the code work. Okay, so in the body part of my sign up form, we are dealing with sign up right now, which has email, it has password, it has confirm password, and has a button for sign up. Okay, so I will call it on top, it's my sign up form. Okay, just to give them a heading that this is your you're on the sign up form. Okay, over here this form is going to work according to the sign up action which we had declared or defined in the app.py. So this is sign up. Okay, I am referring to this actually, this one. Okay, so that's why the form action is sign up. Okay, method is of course post, because the data from this form is going to go to the server. Okay, now over here I will be creating those, like I'll show you what email, password, confirm password. I had defined these fields here, but now I want to show these fields. Okay, this was all on the server side where you were just saying that these are the fields that I want and this is their type and these are the validation, but to actually make them show up on the sign up page, you have to add them here as divs. Okay, so maybe I will say div id equals fields or something, even if and this is used for styling. If you want to do the styling later, you can use them. And yeah, I mean styling is personal to you. Sorry, align is center, so I just want to maybe center align them. Okay, in this div, if you remember, we had used the secret key over here. Okay, secret key for sort of saving our app from the outside attacks and things like that. So in the signup.html, how do you actually make it manifest itself, like the security aspect? You just say like this, 2 curly brackets, and you just say that I want a hidden tag. So hidden tag is basically nothing but the secret key that you have already used on that app.py. So this is like saying that this form is now secure because we are using the hidden tag, which is basically the secret key. Okay, now what else do you want in this form? Whenever you use variables, you use double brackets. It's a Flask format. Okay, you need email. Okay, the label of the email which we had displayed over there. Okay, so that's the thing. And then you need a input field, like basically somewhere where the user can actually display or enter the data. So for that I'm gonna call it form.email, That's the input box. Okay, and I can, maybe if you want, you can give it a fixed size, 30 pixels or something like that. It's your wish. Okay, now this is the label and this is the input box, right? Now what if I enter something, an email which is not valid, and my email has error? So I want to of course give feedback to the user that this is not a valid email. Okay, that is going to happen from your validation. So if there are errors over here, those need to be displayed. Okay, and there's a certain way in which you can display the errors. Okay, so this is how you write if statements. Okay, whenever you have to write if statements, this is how you will be writing. So you'll say, let's say if form dot email dot errors, which means there are errors in the email entry. Okay, then what do we do? In that case, we have to display those errors. Okay, so the best way to display it is as an unordered list, a list of errors. I can call it, I can give it a class called errors, just so that if I want a particular styling for the errors, I can do it by class in CSS. So I can give it a class that it is errors. Okay, and then I say li, which is list item. Okay, and I can just pass on the variable over here. So what's the error going to be like? It's just the error which will come from the form. So if the email has errors, this is how you just display it as a list. Okay, this method is going to remain the same. Okay, okay, one thing that I'm totally missing, I'm just thinking that there could be more than one error. So and this one is only going to take care of one error, which means I should actually run a for loop on the errors if there are more than one. Okay, that I should be actually doing it here, otherwise it's not going to display all the errors, right? So over here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to run a for loop on the errors. Okay, so I'm going to say for error in form dot email dot error. So if there are more than one errors, yes, you just run a for loop and display each of the error. So I'll just correct the indentation as well. So this is where this ends, this is where my list ends, and here I will also have to end the for loop, because in Flask you have to end your statements. It's a standard format. So end for, loop ended here, and my if statement will, this if statement will end over here because I had opened it, so I need to close it. I know it's a lot to take in, however, this is a standard thing to do. Okay, now this takes care of my email label. Yeah, you can just literally copy paste the whole thing and just change email things to the password thing. Okay, but just use the break tag so that email and password are on different lines. Okay, so I am just going to go and copy the whole thing, paste it, and I'll say this is not email, this is going to be password. Okay, I can set the same password size, the field size. Okay, if form dot password has errors, which means the password is less than 6 characters or more than 35, so for error in form dot password dot errors, it's going to display all the errors for me. Okay, and you also have one more field, if you remember, it's called the confirm password. Okay, so here after 2 breaks, okay, you can literally just go ahead and copy paste another thing. Okay, and I think we called it confirm underscore password, so I have to use the same thing. Okay, so I'm gonna use the same confirm underscore password dot label confirm underscore, let me copy this. Okay, if form dot confirm password dot errors, then form dot confirm password dot errors, and it will display the errors if there are any problems with this. Okay, and then after I have these, after 2 breaks, which means another 2 line spaces, I can safely just close this div. It was here, so yeah, just remember the indentation really matters. So this is my div. and I've closed it here. And after that, all I want to have is just a submit button. Okay, so I'm just gonna say input type equals submit. Okay, this is done, and that's the end of my form, right? Yeah, that's the end of my form. And lastly, the last thing that I want to have is this one. So on my app.py, I said that if the user successfully signs up, then this message should show up, and we are even passing this message variable in our template. So which means this message sign up should show up somewhere on the signup.html. So I have to create a place for that. Okay. So after the submit button, I want to display whether you were successful or whether there were any errors. So I'm just gonna say, maybe in a paragraph tag, I'm just gonna pass on the variable, just the name of the variable, because it will automatically have the message from the server and it will show up, message underscore sign up. Okay. Now one more thing that I wanna do here, I'll show you what. So here, like if you see, if I go to sign up, okay, it's taking a bit of a long time, but what I want to show you is that when you actually click on sign up, it shows you email, password, confirm password, and then it gives you a option to go back to the login page. Okay, there was a link over here which says back to login, right? So I want to also create a link over here which takes me back to the login page. Okay, so maybe after a few line spaces, okay, I want to create a link. Ahref is anchor tag, which is used to create links. Okay, so ahref, okay, and this is the route. I will declare it in app.py. This means that this is the login or the main screen. Okay, this will take you to the login, and if you say back to login, if you click on back to login, it will take you back to the login page. I know that we have not created this route yet, and we have not even created the login.html, but for now I'm just keeping it as a link right now.